Hello and welcome everybody to Tell Me When, one of the best add-ons ever. If you do not have this add-on, there is a link in the description, so you may go to the mighty curse and download and install this great and powerful add-on of mastery. Now, if you already have it, then cool. Let's continue with the guide. First off, what does Tell Me When do? You know? Tell Me When tells you everything you need to know, whether it's a buff, a debuff, on you, on the target, on your friend downtown in New York maybe, or across in some foreign galaxy. It'll even tell you when your roommate wants you to help with the laundry so you can avoid them, or help them, or just narrowly escape. Who knows? It'll tell you whatever you want to know. So, let's type /tmw to bring up the configuration. Boom. Now, when you first get Tell Me When, you will most likely have one bar similar to this. There'll be nothing on it, it will just be like these blank squares. First off, you can adjust the size just by right-clicking on these little edges over here and just jumps. Try not to make it too big, otherwise it'll just make your UI kind of hard to see everything. But for the purpose of this, I'm going to make it quite nice and big so that you can see in this video and make it all very nice and big. Huge even. It's ridiculous. One could never play with something this size. And let's avoid those kinds of jokes, people. I know your minds. Alright, so to bring up a configuration window, you're going to right-click on one of these blank squares to create something new. Or if you want to edit something you've already made, you're going to right-click on the thing you've already made, like this Moonfire. But for the purpose of this, I'm going to right-click on one of these blank squares of awesomeness. So, first thing we are going to do is look at how we're going to make this thing tell us what we want to know. So, first up we've got icon type, this drop-down menu. So, here you go. You've got lots of selections. This is what category your thing that you want to set up fits into. So, if it's a spell cooldown, or it's an item cooldown, or it's a unit cooldown, someone else's cooldowns that you want to monitor. Internal cooldowns of items, procs, which are your reactive abilities, your buffs and debuffs, your loss of control, spell costs, all that kind of stuff. Now first off, we're going to go with buff or debuff, so let's select that. So, first off, who is the buff or debuff on? Is it on you? Is it on your target? Is it on your friend downtown? Who knows? So, you want to select which one it is. So you're going to select this box, and then it's going to give you a suggestion of all these different types of targets of who it could be. So, seeing as it's a buff or on me that I want to set up, I'm going to select player. Alright. And then over here we're going to enter in the name of what this buff is. What buff do I want it to be? Okay, let's say I want innovate. Maybe I'm a restoration druid. I want to know when innovate's on me. Okay? And how long it's going to last on me maybe. So let's say innervate. Oop. And it's going to give me a whole bunch of suggestions. And there's the one I want. Or is it this one? Nope, it's this one. Okay, cool. Enter. Don't forget to click enter, or press enter, because if you don't, you're going to have to do it again. So, then we're going to say only check mine. Let's make sure that it's enabled, otherwise it will not show me what I want shown. Show timer text. The timer is a bit like a clock animation. It will show you how long is left with sort of like a clock-like animation. The text just tells you exactly how long it has left. So we're going to tick both of those. Okay? Make sure to exit the configuration mode, because if you don't, then you won't be able to test it properly. So let's exit, and let's press our button. And boom! There it is. You can do this with all sorts of things, like I have with my berserking racial. There we go, just to demonstrate it for you. And if you want to do it as a debuff on someone else, like your dots, then you're going to say as target, and you're going to click that debuff option. So if I select this training dummy, and I press my Moonfire, boom! If I press my Sunfire, bang! Okay? And this demonstrates another thing I can show you, which is your trinket. What if you want to know when your trinket's on you? We're going to show you how to do that in a second. So, that's sort of like the trinket proc from the Dark Moon card, telling me exactly how long it has left on it. Alright, so, let's go back and type /tmw. Kaboom! Alright, so how do we do this with the trinket? Well, let's close that back down again. The important thing to note with trinkets is if you want the trinket cooldown, as in how long Relic of Yulon, for example, has left on the internal cooldown, you will select internal cooldown. But if you want to know how long the buff from the actual trinket has on left on you, then you're going to have to say buff or debuff on you, and then the name of the buff that it gives you. The name of the buff is not always the same as the trinket's name. So if I said Relic of Yulon buff, it would give me no suggestions because that buff name does not exist, at least not yet. So let's get that thing to proc so we can see what is the name of this buff. There we go, it's just procced, and its name is Blessing of the Celestials. Okay, so now we know the name. We type /tmw, bring up the configuration. We right click on one of these amazing empty boxes. We go icon type, buff or debuff. It's a buff, it's on me, and now we know that it is Blessing of, there we go, Blessing of the Celestials. Now there are several different Blessing of the Celestials, and we want the intellect one specifically because I'm a Moonkin. It's the intellect one I care about. So there we go, we've pressed enter, there it is, looking amazing. It's checking on me as a player, it is a buff. Only check mine because I don't want other people's stuff interfering with my amazing add-on. And I wanted to show timer text, and enable it. Okay, so now we're going to say exit. Don't worry about this little clock, it will replace that clock with the icon of the buff once it's seen it in action. Okay, you'll see what I mean in a minute. Okay, so now we're going to get it to proc just to test it out. Let's put some dots. Let's put training dummy. It's getting pounded. There we go. Boom. Nice and cool. We've got the little clockwork animation going through. We've got the number telling me exactly how many seconds left of this amazing buff I have. And there we go. It looks fantastic. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to go through is how to check the cooldowns of something. Alright, so over here we're going to right click on these ridiculously large icons over here, and that's going to bring up the window. Icon type. Let's have it as spell cooldown. Now let's say I want celestial alignment checked. I want to know when that's off cooldown. Celestial. There we go. It's giving me a suggestion. Press enter. If you say power check, then it will say, do you have enough mana? Because I'm not going to show you that you can use this if you don't have enough mana. That's what that power check is for. Okay? There we go. It'll tell you when you're out of mana or whatever to use this. Range check. That's something you want, if it's a buff you put on someone else or something like that. Maybe it's Mark of the Wild. I don't know, that's not really a cooldown, so it wouldn't really make sense. But if for whatever reason the cooldown of the thing has something to use with range, then that would make sense. But seeing as this thing is put on myself, I don't need a range check because I don't plan on being particularly far away from myself. Okay, now remember to enable it, always enable it, and show timer text. Okay, now what this is going to do is it's going to show it when it's not on cooldown, so when I'm able to use it. However, when I use it, it will disappear. Let's use it. Bam, it's gone. Where did it go? Now, that's what you're going to do if you don't want it shown when it's not accessible, but if you want it shown how long it has on the cooldown or whatever, you're going to right click on it again, and you're going to say show states and opacity when usable, and you're going to check the box next to unusable. And then we're going to close this down, and look, there we go, 3 minutes left on it. It's got its little timer thingy-mabobby going, and that's what you're going to use if you want to know how long something has left on its cooldown. Alright, so that's the basics of Tell Me When, and I'm sure you're going to figure out quite a lot more of the customization as you go along. There's just one last thing I want to show you before we finish off. And remember, if you have any questions about Tell Me When, feel free to either ask them in the comment section below or on Facebook, and I will either respond to your comment in text and try to help you out there, or I will make a video showing you what to do for that specific thing, because there's quite a lot in Tell Me When, and I don't want to make a lot of stuff that people aren't ever really going to use. Okay, so if you want to know how to use the internal cooldown of a trinket, maybe you're having some trouble with that, let me know and I'll either respond with a comment or I'll make another video just for you. Okay, so I've got this back up again. Now, how do I add another group? You go down at the bottom here, you've got group settings. Now in group settings, you're going to select add another group icon. Okay, there we go. We've added another group. It is over here, looking fantastic, making my computer lag whenever I drag it. It is huge. There we go. Just trying to get it shown for you, that's all. Don't worry, you don't need to make these things so bloody large. Okay. Now, the next thing is you have to choose what specs it's going to be shown in. Your primary spec, your secondary spec, if you have dual spec. Is it going to be showing you in your Guardian if you're a Druid, or Feral, or Balance? That's what you want to show, okay, for all these different boxes that you're going to have ticked or unticked or whatever. Now, what if you don't want it horizontal like it is defaultly set to? Okay, what if you want it coming down like it is here? Then what you're going to do is you're going to say columns, 1, and then you're going to increase the number of rows, and that's what makes it come down like that.